Hey everybody, it's Harry from Slap Your Daddy Barbecue, the YouTube channel that teaches you how to master barbecue so you can spread barbecue love. I love to cook ribs and I've competed in many contests involving rib entries that have won first place. You guys may have seen me on a show called BBQ Pitmasters Season 1 where I edged out some world champions including Johnny Trigg, Myron Mixon, Tuffy Stone, and a whole bunch of teams on a TV show in the season finale where it was a rib throwdown. I'm always looking for the best ribs I can compete with, and in today's episode you're in for a treat because I have some Mangalitsa pork ribs here, which I'm going to show you how we make competition style to see if it is the best pork rib that you can buy and obtain in America to compete in a barbecue rib contest. Prep the ribs by trimming any excess fat and shaping the ribs so we can cook it competition style. You need a sharp knife. I like to use Del Strong knives. This is a Shogun Quantum boning knife. We're going to sharpen it a couple of times on a rapid steel. This rapid steel is a very quick way of sharpening your knives if you don't have time to sharpen it on a whetstone. This is available on my Amazon store in the video description link below. And let's cut this open. First thing you want to do is remove the packaging and discard the purge. This has already been trimmed into sort of St. Louis cut, but we're going to do some final trimming on it before we season it up to cook it. And it's been double bagged, shipped from MangalitsaEstates.com. These are folks who are able to breed heritage pigs called the Mangalitsa breed. You never want to wash your meat, you just want to throw away the package that contains the purge. Alright, I'm examining the piece here. It kind of looks like this piece here has quite a lot of additional parts of the hog on it. So I'm going to go trim it off because we can use some of these pieces here. For example, this piece here needs to be trimmed off, which is kind of like the flap. Cut this off. So I'm going to save every morsel of this Mangalitsa pork because it's really, really good eating. It's a heritage pig. For those of you who are wondering what a Mangalitsa pork is, it's really a heritage breed that originated from Eastern Europe. And it's called the woolly pig because it kind of has a lot of hair. And it was popular in Hungary before being brought to America and being bred by local breeders in America. And it has the characteristics of being called the Kobe pork because of the high marbling and the fat content. And most importantly, it has a lot of what we call oleic acid. Oleic acid is the same kind of unctuousness that you get from eating a Wagyu meat brisket. So same kind of acid is unsaturated fat. This one seems like it's got some kind of rib cartilage here. Doesn't look quite right, but let me see if I can just fabricate it, trim it off here. I think it's got a little bit of a rib cartilage here, which is pretty unusual. I've not seen this type of a cartilage before. Let's see here. Looks like there's quite a lot of it. Try to get it off. It should look kind of like this, right? But on this one here, there's a little bit of a bone here, still attached. This is definitely unusual. You usually don't find these type of knuckle bones on the meat. I'm not going to worry about trimming it to competition style because this is more or less a taste test to see how the meat flavor tastes like. The rib is a little bit on the light side in terms of weight. Usually we want the ribs to be very thick and tall for competition rib, but you never know. Sometimes the size doesn't matter. It is the taste that is the final determinant, since taste is scored higher than the texture and the appearance. I'm just pulling the membrane. You notice I used a piece of napkin to hold the membrane down. It's a little tip to minimize it being slippery. And this one is ready. This one has a little bit of a loss of meat here due to the bone muscle. This more or less looks like more like the rib tip on the top part. But that's okay. So they give me a rib and they gave me a rib tip. I think that's kind of how it's set up. So we're gonna cook this piece as a rib tip, no problemo. We're doing more or less a taste test versus actually trying to create a big old juicy judge quality rib. I just want to do a Mangalitsa pork taste test in this episode here. These are competition ribs, so I'm going to show you some of my black belt top secret competition tricks. So please don't go show people, just keep it to yourself. I'm going to put a little bit of a smear. I'm going to use a product by Sweet Smoke Q, one of the products I use, and it works really, really well if you are cooking ribs or pork butt. I use it as a smear for my ribs. And you can use mustard, you can use Worcestershire, you can use a whole bunch of ingredients, but this is one of my top secret techniques here I'm sharing with you. Don't tell anybody. I'm going to put a layer of all-purpose rub. This is my all-purpose rub. I'm going to put it on the back side. Nice even coating. And you notice that I have a very, obsessive compulsive detail. These are 1 centimeter holes. There's 3 holes in my cap. I went to great lengths to source this particular kind of cap because I wanted you to have a championship result when you use my rub at home. The normal 7-hole, small hole caps don't work. So we paid a lot of extra money to buy these special caps because I really want you to get the same results that I get in competition when you're at home. We put the all-purpose rub on the meat side. I'm now going to put the chicken rub, my chicken rub on the other side. And this is one that helped me win first place USA on the KCBS circuit. A little bit more of the sweet smoke as a smear. It's a light thin coating is good, just to help the rub stick. Give it also a little bit boost of flavor. Chicken rub on the meat side, all-purpose on the bone side. And a lot of teams are taking walks using this combination of flavors. Always shake the rub, apply, do loosen it, shake the rub and apply. Make sure it's nice and even. We always say in a contest, win or lose a contest, it's just 1 extra shake or 1 missing shake of a rub, not consistent flavors, and you lose a contest. Could be a $10,000 check just based on how you apply the rub. That's why when you apply the rub, you got to be very careful and be very consistent in application. So this is ready. Because the ribs are thin, we're gonna let it sit about, I want to say 45 minutes. When the ribs are thick, I let it sit between 60 minutes to 90 minutes. So these are all carefully precision time, marination times, and this just comes from experience. When you cook enough contests and cook enough ribs, you end up becoming a rib whisperer. I want to show you another trick. So this is a powdered honey. You can buy them in the Asian market. Typically Korean stores have them, and I like to kind of liberally sprinkle some of this powdered honey on top to give the ribs a extra oomph of flavor. Just don't tell anybody I told you, okay? Shh, it's our secret. So here's the rib. We're gonna go set it in the refrigerator now. Let it sit for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes or so. We got our Weber kettle up to about 275-ish, and we set up a hot zone on the left side and a cool zone on the right side. I have a rib rack here. I'm gonna place the ribs in the rib rack so that it will cook evenly. And the fire is on this side, so I want my vent to be on the opposite side so that the airflow goes out this way. Alright, it's been about an hour and 20 minutes and looks pretty well crusted. Let's take it off. Do the touch test here. Absolutely gorgeous ribs. Ribs are beautifully crusted. Took about an hour and 40 minutes or so. We're gonna wrap it now. I'll show you guys some of the black belt tips here. We have a little bit of my barbecue sauce, a little bit of secret ingredient here. You can guess what this is. A little bit of a floral note from ground nutmeg. We're gonna use some honey, a touch of cayenne, peach nectar, spray of a little bit of a butter, soybean flavored butter actually, a little bit of brown sugar will do the trick. Show you guys how we wrap. Spray a little bit of butter. People always ask me, why don't you use regular butter? Yes, you can, but this is what wins competition, so this is what the pros use. We use the soybean flavored butter. Less likelihood of the butter creating solids, so there's no aftertaste. The brown sugar, touch of barbecue sauce, just a hint of floral note with the nutmeg. That's a purple cow that separates yourself from the pack in competition. Just a touch of it. Touch of honey. So light touch. Maybe a cayenne. Just a tiny touch. If you're not sure, put some on your hand like so first. And sprinkle it on because it's very strong. You don't want to overdo it. And then a touch of little peach nectar. In case you're wondering why we're foiling, because the rib isn't fully tender yet. So it's got just a few more minutes to go. So we finished bones side up. Okay, meat side down always. And we're ready to wrap. Put it in the oven, or you can put it back in the pit. Doesn't really matter, because BTU is BTU is BTU. Here's completed ribs. It took about an hour 45 minutes to get it to crust, and about another hour and a half to get it to be a tender state. Overall, I think that the ribs look kind of small. The way the bones on the meat, it kind of looks like it kind of fell apart like that. They don't sort of look like the meat has covered the bone. This one looks a little bit better. This is sort of like the baby back portion. It looks okay, but still they kind of look a little bit small. So appearance wise, they look color wise, bark is okay, but I think the size and then the shape leaves something to be desired in terms of a competition rib. So let's go ahead and give it a taste and see if it scores well on the taste and the tenderness. Appearance wise, the bark is fine because we cooked it using good technique, but the way the symmetry and the way the meat is set up, not so cool. Look at that. So, you know, a little bit of a kind of a too much meat cut away from the bone here. This part's kind of okay, but this is probably not a good competition style rib here. This is okay, but not so satisfactory in terms of the shape for a comp rib. All right, let me eat a piece from the rib here first. Let's try this piece here. A nice smoke ring, not bad. Except, you know, the meat kind of was not enough meat to cover the bone. Give it a taste. Well, flavor is good. The Mangalitsa pork has a really nice, natural, sweet pork flavor. You can see a little bit of smoke ring. This is not super tender, but cooked the competition style. Let me have a second bite. Yep. Right amount of smokiness and heat. Saltiness is good. Very good eating rib. Just that it doesn't look really very pretty, but in terms of eating, very good. You can try the baby back portion of it here. See, look at that. Looks pretty good. Give the baby back portion a bite. So I think the flavor and texture very good for pork. There's a very nice natural pork flavor. Really good eating. This is outstanding pork. So I guess Mangalitsa is a good heritage breed. It has really a very natural flavor. I believe it's finished on oats and barley in the last 10-12 weeks of its life. And they raised it up to about 400 pounds. But what is a little bit odd is the way this is fabricated. Sort of the rib kind of has lost the meat on this side of the bone. It looks a little bit irregular. So it's not exactly having the size and the symmetry of a competition rib. The flavor and texture is pretty good. And I cooked a pork butt also, and I cooked the brisket. And I think the Mangalitsa definitely is sort of like the Kobe beef of pork. And it has really just a great mouthful feel and great pork flavor. I'm gonna have another bite. Super delicious pork. It's really good pork. Of course, the $100 question is this a good competition rib? After cooking it and trying it out, I honestly don't think so, primarily because of the look itself. So, and it's kind of thin, the way the bones are kind of retracting on both sides. So it doesn't have the appearance of a kind of well fabricated rib, but for eating, it's absolutely fabulous. Don't get me wrong, this is a good eating, and if properly cooked using good rib technique, you're gonna have a fantastic, delicious rib to enjoy with your family. But for competition, if I turn something like this in, it just looks a little bit odd with the bone sticking out here and the bone sticking out here. And then if I turn in a piece that doesn't have enough meat, that's a little bit problematic because you have the bone shining through like that. So that's a shiner. So not so cool for competition, but definitely cool if you're cooking at home, trying to feed your family. You want to try a unique heritage breed of pork from Eastern Europe that is all the rage among all the chefs in the high-end restaurants to try Mangalitsa pork. That's Mangalitsa lardons, Mangalitsa pork belly, which I'm going to be trying also, cooking Mangalitsa pork butt, pork brisket. So we're going to try everything, but these are great eating, but in terms of a competition, probably not the best choice of the ribs to be used in a contest. There you have it. You have my opinion. Now Mr. Beans is patiently waiting, right, Beans? So we'll give the brisket dog a chance to try some Mangalitsa pork ribs. So this is a Mangalitsa pork rib, Beans, and I hope you like it. It's a very good heritage breed pork from Eastern Europe. Okay, good job. You wanna lick the bone? Okay, you wanna lick my glove? For those who are gonna ask, yes, we do change gloves often, especially after feeding Mr. Beans. All right, so Mr. Beans gives it a thumbs up, so he likes the Mangalitsa pork spare ribs. So good job, Mr. Beans. So there you have it, another episode from Slap Your Daddy Barbecue. Please like, subscribe, and share. Want to give a shout out to all my Patreons who helping me support this channel, keeping the lights on and helping to fund my video projects. So until the next video, we will see ya.